Well, salutations, fellow idiots. Welcome back to yet another episode of Full Moon Live. I'm joined once again by Chris, the old-ass retro gamer. Happy to have you back, buddy. Today we're going to be talking about a film that I've got a pretty long history with. My parents are still not the fondest of it. I thought maybe my dad would be down to watch it with me, but he remembers all the times that I forced them to rent it repeatedly as a child, and I think he had enough of it back in the 90s. So he let me fly solo.
Like, stop the pain.
Yeah, I don't think he could take another trip through with George Takei right there.
I want booze.
it's something else. Obviously, the film that we're going to be talking about today is Oblivion from 1994. This was written by Peter David. Based on a story by Charles Band and a whole group of people. But Peter David, you guys might know as a comic book writer. He was, that run of his on Incredible Hulk is still praised today.
I think he wrote a bunch of Star Wars novels too.
I believe he did. Yeah. I think you're right. It was produced by Peter David. Albert and Richard Band were involved in producing it. Weirdly, it doesn't credit Charles as a producer on there, which is odd. I guess he kind of let them handle this.
What?
Yeah, right. The Panescus, though, are involved, which is I think they were Romanian, and they co-produced a lot of movies with Charles back in these days, because I believe the studio that he owned over in Romania was like co-owned with those Vlad Panescu and Oana Panescu or whatever. It stars Richard Joseph Paul, Jackie Swanson, Andrew Divoff, George Takei, Julie Newmar, Isaac Hayes, and Meg Foster. It's got cinematography by Adolfo Bartoli. It's got music by Pino Donaggio. It was distributed by Paramount Home Video. This is back when they were still raking in that Paramount money. So they were able to shoot this and Oblivion 2 back to back while they were doing shit like Lurking Fear and all that stuff. And then they eventually burned that bridge. But this was released on December 14th, 1994. So we got one more good Christmas with that Paramount money before it all went down. I believe it says right here that the budget of this was $2.5 million. And that, again, comes back to the whole Paramount arrangement there. They definitely were not putting that much money down on any of the movies.
Because they bought every ceiling fan in Romania.
Yeah. So this is a film, like I said, I have a lot of history with. We're going to run into our first impressions here after you guys take a look at the trailer. And then we're going to, break down some of the scenes here and share our thoughts and all that good stuff. So here you go.
In the outlands of space. There's a wild new frontier.
You got a problem, Red Eye?
Yeah, I got a problem.
Where the good guys are only human.
You get out of town, or I'll kill you. You ain't gonna kill nobody.
And the bad guys are not.
We're gonna show the good people of Oblivion the great advantages to a town run by Red Eye.
Where the liquor's hard.
I want booze.
And the women are wild.
Delicious.
And the natives are on the warpath. Because in this town, it's not cowboys and Indians.
Not so fast, Pocahontas.
It's cowboys and aliens.
We're getting a posse together. Who's with me?
My family's spirits cry out to be avenged.
I love the way this guy talks.
Is that a fact?
Definitely.
Oblivion. It's high noon in outer space.
Well, some questionable stuff in there, but it was the 90s. Great film. I mean, it's, I wouldn't say it's a great film, but it's a fun film for sure. So I guess we'll let you run through your first impressions of Oblivion, Chris, before we jump into mine. Obviously, this probably wasn't the first time you saw it, eh?
No, I remember we rented it a couple times back when it first came out. I remember the poster being displayed in my local video store, so I was, there was the awareness was there. and I was really excited about it because I'm not really a big Western fan, like at all. There's maybe like 3 Westerns I can actually sit through and not want to like kill myself. So the prospect of like a sci-fi Western, I think it was just the sci-fi angle because that was something I hadn't seen before, really appealed to me because I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. So I was really excited about it. And I remember it did what it was supposed to do. And I remember really liking it back in the day.
Oh yeah, you can't really go wrong with Cowboys versus Aliens and like stop motion night scorps and all that fun stuff. I guess for me it would be kind of the opposite. I am a little bit of a Western fan. I don't like them as a rule, but there is quite a lot of them that I like that I remember watching with my dad. And this was one of those rare occurrences where my dad was actually excited, at least at first, about one of these types of movies because he doesn't really like sci-fi or horror very much. But the fact that it was mixed with Western shit and the fact that it had like George Takei in there, somebody that he recognized from Star Trek, it like made him at least a little bit more interested in checking it out. And I quickly diminished that enthusiasm by just renting it all the time. This is one of those movies that my parents had to put their foot down about back in the day and be like, no, you can't rent Oblivion. You can choose anything else. And I'd be like, Oblivion 2? And they're just like, get out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of me.
Go pick out something else, We got Jester Mikey in the house. Full Moon royalty for sure. Thanks for stopping in, man. It's a great honor to have you here. This dude's been doing Full Moon content on YouTube for like 12 years or something like that.
Hell yeah.
Great collection, one of the biggest I've ever seen. So definitely check out Jester Mikey's YouTube channel. I'll pin link to it in the comments. But yeah, I rented the shit out of Oblivion. Both of my parents, it drove them crazy, so it's a pretty infamous film in our family just for that. And for good reason. I mean, it's got replay value, especially considering the fact that the sequel kind of just melds with it perfectly because they shot it back to back. Full Moon was always usually pretty good about doing that back in these days whenever they could. So there's not like that weird sort of disconnect between the movies, that you get sometimes when a sequel comes many years later. It was like all just one continuous shoot, basically. Basic gist of the plot is it's on some planet somewhere that is like a New Earth type situation from what I've gathered in the film. People relocate. There's not a lot of like explanation. It's just, space cowboys. There is this kid that is like the son of the local sheriff who ends up getting blown away by this scaly sumbitch called Red Eye, who's like this mean lizard man that wants to take over this small town of Oblivion.
His anger issues.
They basically figure out that they can use these minerals that are mined out in the desert to disrupt technology and electronics and stuff. So he basically uses that to cheat the sheriff in a gunfight and disable his cyborg sidekick, his deputy, and he blows him away. So the local undertaker Gaunt decides that he's going to go find this guy's son to come back and deal with Red Eye. There's the whole subplot of the kid supposedly being looked at as this coward, but it turns out that really he's like an empath or whatever, so he doesn't like participating in violence because he can quite literally feel everything that's happening to the people around him. So he's hesitant to get involved, but when he sees like the iron grip they've got on the town, he does what all good Western heroes do, and he teams up with a native, and they have some bar fights. And there's some questionable shit that goes on. There are a lot of ceiling fans, like Chris mentioned. I guess
like they bought every one of them in Romania. Yeah, that's what alien planets look like, just ceiling fans in the street.
I guess. I mean, as if there's ever been a way to make like a Western setting look futuristic, I guess just putting ceiling fans out in random places works. So,
yeah.
They're circulating that air. I wonder if that would have any actual effect.
I doubt it.
I don't think it does.
I bet their production designer just kind of like, that'll look cool.
Yeah, it's something we can like get some cool shots of them spinning and then pan down to. Yeah. So I guess we'll run through the basic characters. What do you? Oh, let me get my thing up here. I've forgotten all of their names. So we've got Zach Stone, which is I believe Richard Joseph Paul plays that dude. That's our sheriff's son. What do you think of Zach? Seems like a nice dude.
kind of annoying at times. Just kind of a whiner. He's kind of like, I guess they're trying to make him kind of like Luke Skywalker a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like, I don't want to do it. Stop telling me what to do. I'm an adult. Kind of thing.
I want to go to Toshi and get the power converter.
Yeah, I want to go and hang out with my friend. I don't want to go to the desert and hang out with the night scorps. They scary, kind of thing.
Pretty much.
So it's like he's at the start of the movie. I found him kind of grating, and like every time he would talk, I'd be like, "Will you just stop? Just shut up. Just stop. Just close that mouth. Just do it."
Yeah.
But by the end, when he finally like mans up and is just kind of like, "Yeah, I'm not going to put up with this crap anymore," and just deal with, having to feel the pain of other people around him and all that, I kind of warm up to him.
Yeah, he grows on you a little bit. And I think that was probably calculated on their part with making him sort of annoying at first, and then
give him kind of an arc.
Exactly. So we, in addition to him, we've also obviously got Andrew Divoff as Red Eye, the villain of our film, and arguably the character that makes these movies iconic, next to Musetta Vander. What do you think of? Yeah, we'll get to her. She is a treat, to be sure.
Every time you say her name, I'm just gonna.
Andrew Divoff kind of kills it as Red Eye, man. You could tell he was having a lot of fun in the role, and it sort of foreshadows how awesome he would be in other stuff like Wishmaster.
Wishmaster, yeah. But
I
he also plays that guy that's like a prospector selling stuff to Isaac Hayes in his bar at one point. It's just him without the makeup on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember I'd seen Andrew Divoff in so many movies. He was the villain in Toy Soldiers. I think he was the main villain in Toy Soldiers. I was kind of familiar with what he looks like, because he does play a lot of movies, or he does act in a lot of movies where he's required to wear like a lot of like makeup, because he does a lot of horror stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think he just kind of like, can I just do something without the makeup for a change so people know what I actually look like, kind of situation.
Yeah. He's a creepy looking sumbitch too, man.
But he's got, and he always like does something with his voice to make him sound all sinister. But when you actually hear him talk, he's got a real soft voice, which is kind of funny.
I don't know that I've ever actually heard him talk out of character.
Like there's like interviews I've seen with him, especially when he was doing like the Wishmaster stuff. There's a couple of interviews, and he's just really soft spoken, and it's kind of strange that he's always playing heavies. And it's the same with Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames always kind of like toughens up his voice a little bit, because he actually does have like a very soft voice in reality.
That's funny.
So it's kind of funny that he's always playing a villain, yet he seems like a really nice, kind of chill dude.
I think that seems to happen more often than not. It must be something that they can tap into, being nice guys. Maybe they, can make the sinisterness like more convincing, I guess, because they observe so much of it in other people, but it's not natural to them. So they can, when they turn it on, they can really turn it on.
But as Red Eye, he's pretty rad.
He is, yeah. He does this weird like thing.
Yeah, he keeps on like sucking on his teeth and stuff, but like you could tell he's just having fun. He has weird anger issues because he screams random words and sentences.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And like you could tell I think that's what he is like the best part of the movie to me, because like that his performance is just fun.
Yeah, it would still be
completely gets the kind of movie he's in.
Exactly. He's 1000% in the proper spirit for the movie. It would still be a fun movie without him, but he makes it for sure. Yeah. Like the combination of him, and I guess we'll get to Musetta Vander right now as last, which easily a contender for the sexiest lady in Full Moon's catalog. There's just something about it. Yeah, Chris knows what's up. She could hit me with that electro whip any day, and I would say yes.
Whip me, beat me, make me write bad checks.
She's just perfect too. She's got a very distinct face. She kind of looks like what you when I picture like a comic book style femme fatale like character in my head or whatever. She's sort of the image, with the big lips and the really she's just got like something about the way that she looks that fits those type of characters really good.
I think that's why they cast her as Sindel in the Mortal Kombat film, the second one.
Yeah.
Was she right for the part?
Probably not. No.
I don't think anybody was.
Probably just about everybody in Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Too bad you will die.
Oh, yeah. We should fantasy cast that one of these days during a live stream.
Jesus.
That would be fun. Just everybody that's even worse for the roles.
Oh God, like Tom Cruise's Iron Man kind of shit.
So she's great. You know, she's a perfect like sidekick to Red Eye. They've got this weird kinky like relationship going on in the movie as well, where she kind of gets off on them doing these bad things, but at the same time, she sort of wants to keep them to herself. You know,
But like she also kind of hits on the local store owner kind of thing too. She keeps on trying to grab. There is literally a scene where she grabs her tit at the very end when they're trying to. I think it's at the end when they're at the Night Scorp lair thing. And she just flat out just grabs her hooter.
Oh yeah, honks it.
And yeah, I was like, okay, that's the thing.
Beep beep.
Those are real.
Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, they're like, you know, in terms, a lot of times, like you'll have a good villain, but their sidekick's kind of weaselly and annoying or something like that, and it takes a little bit away from it. But they're pretty much the perfect combination. And then in addition to them, you know, obviously we have Buteo, who's played by Jimmy F. Skaggs. You know, it's just one of those things.
Your reaction says it all.
I like the character, but I don't think we're supposed to nowadays, you know.
No, that's a little bit of whitewashing going on right there.
Yeah. And it's even down to the voice that he's putting on. It's just kind of like, why? Why would they still talk like that in space? You know, like it just
yeah.
Yeah. And that, you know, he basically meets, you know, what the heck is his name again?
Mateo?
Zach. I keep
Zach.
wanting to say it's like Seth or something, but no, it's Zach.
He's a champ.
He meets Zach because Zach saves his life after, you know, Red Eye's henchmen have staked him out for the Night Scorps after killing his family and like stealing these minerals that he was mining that they then use, you know, in their, you know, trickery with the sheriff. The Night Scorps are fucking amazing. I believe it's some David Allen stop motion in there.
Yeah.
You can just tell because it actually looks good. And the design of them is pretty cool too. I'm glad that they weren't just like giant real world scorpions.
Yeah, they actually have like a face kind of thing going on. Yeah. And I like the two stingers.
The dual stingers, that's super cool. Their claws and shit, and they will tear you apart, but good. We've
seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it.
So he narrowly escapes a pretty grisly fate because of Zach's intervention, and obviously, as happens when you save a native, they are beholden to you for life or something like that. It's like Wookiees, you know?
Yeah,
it's like a Wookiee. So he's basically just a really politically incorrect Wookiee. You know, but we can understand what he's saying for the most part, and that's good. So he's there. He's a great example. You know, on the flip side of Musetta Vander, like Buteo's a good example of kind of a terrible sidekick, but he works. David Allen was one of the best wizards of filmmaking in history. You're not wrong. We're big fans of David Allen over here. Really hoping that Charles stops dicking around and eventually finishes the Primevals, because it is one of my most anticipated full moon things ever. I'm pretty sure we're going to get it eventually. It's just
if we can get Mad God, why can't we get Primordials or Primevals?
I gotta see that Mad God, man. I keep hearing great things about it.
Yeah, Jason from Corpse Flood saw it and texted me, and he's just like, I don't know what it was about, but it was fucking awesome.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure after he's finished doing the Bong movies, so that eliminates one thing that was probably standing in the way of Primevals getting the attention it deserved. So hopefully after Subspecies 5, he'll maybe get a little more serious about it. It's coming, man. He's working on it.
I'm on it. I on it yesterday.
So who else do we got in here? I mean, I guess we've definitely got Meg Foster as Stelbar. Yeah, and that's the android chick, if memory serves. Yeah,
Evelyn.
Yeah, she is Evelyn, isn't she? She's pretty great in this movie too. I really like the scenes with her.
I've never seen a movie that I didn't like her in it. You know,
yeah,
I've seen so many movies of her in it, and I've liked her character in each one because she. My dad used to say that the only reason she got jobs was because of her eyes. Because she has those bright blue eyes, and she's got such exotic eyes. That's the only reason she gets jobs. I'm like, yeah, but she can actually act too.
She can. She really embraces the role in this too, much like Andrew Divoff. I think she was in perfectly the proper spirit for this movie. Yeah. And those eyes do lend themselves to her like cyborg android type character or whatever. I think she's full synthetic, isn't she? She's not like.
I think parts of her are. I think she says like most of her is robot. She's kind of like living in Nemesis Land, that Albert Pune movie where she's like mostly cybernetics and a little bit of human still.
Oh, okay. So there is some organics in there.
Yeah,
that's good to know. Yeah, she's pretty great. She plays the, I guess deputy that ends up getting caught up in all of this. She's kind of helpless at first because they've got this stuff that could disrupt all of her, cyborg abilities and basically just leaves her twitching on the ground.
Yeah.
But she, she has her revenge, and she, plays a pretty big role throughout the film. In addition to her, we've got some side characters. For everyone else for the most part is kind of a side character. Like we definitely have George Takei in there as Doc Valentine. We've got Julie Newmar as Miss Kitty, which are both probably the corniest characters of the film.
I think the director told the two of them when they first came on set, he was just like, here's where everyone else is going to be acting wise in this movie. I need you all to be up here.
Thank you, Mikey. I was sitting there the whole time trying to remember. I was like, what other Full Moon movie do I know her from? And she plays Big Mo in Shrunken Heads, and probably one of the best performances in Full Moon history for sure.
Yeah, she looked like she was having fun in that one.
God, yeah, she fucking knocks it out of the park. She makes most of the movie for me on that one. Oh shit, I'm sorry, Ty Lord. Didn't I don't know why that is. It should have went out to everyone. It could be because we started late or something.
But he told the director told George Takei and Julie Newmar just like amp it up to 11.
Yeah,
everyone else is going to be at everyone else will be at like a 6, 5.5, 6. You're going to be at 11 because George Takei just screams every line in that movie.
He pretty much it does, and it's almost like he's doing like a stereotypical Asian thing,
Yeah, it's weird.
He is hamming it up, man, and the forced
and
Star
so
Trek
many
references.
Star Trek jokes. Yeah,
I love it.
Hand me that tricorder over there. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude, because it just absolutely takes you out of the movie for a minute. But it's like we're just gonna keep doing it, and you're gonna like it.
Great Scotty. Why?
You're not wrong, Tyler. She is pretty sexy as a robot, and it's good to know there is some organic parts in there. Jester Mikey also shouts out Erwin Keyes as Bork. Great name, great character. He's always fun to see show up and shit. Obviously, we've got an appearance from Isaac Hayes as Buster, what does he do? Is he just like a pawn shop guy?
He runs like the bar, and he also is like the guy that you sell. He's like the people that the prospectors sell to. But yeah, he did that stupid Schlitz liquor commercial in the movie. He like verbatim.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't have Schlitz, you don't have beer. It's like, oh god.
Yeah. I mean, they were already getting Paramount money. I don't know that they needed to shield to Schlitz, but whatever. Yeah. And he's pretty minor character, but he's Isaac fucking Hayes, so you got to mention that he's in the movie. And that's pretty much it. We do have Peter David making an appearance in there apparently as a cowhand, which I've never noticed before, but I don't know what Peter David looks like. I've only ever just read his comments.
I want to say he's the guy when Gaunt walks into the bar after the bar fight's like winding down, and when he looks at Gaunt, he goes like, he like runs out of the bar. I'm pretty sure that was him.
Andrew Divoff is kind of an underrated actor. Chris was touching on that because the dude can actually act pretty good outside of makeup, but most of us know him predominantly as like roles where he's playing some type of creature or whatever, But I think what's the Wishmaster movie where he's like out of the? I think it's at the end of the first one.
I think it's the second one.
Yeah, you might be right.
When he's in the prison.
Yeah, he's like out of the makeup for a good portion of the movie and he's still killing it. So, and Gaunt, you brought him up. We all got a Lurch from Adam's Family up. And
hell yeah, Carol Stroiken.
And seems like he was having a lot of fun with this too, man. There's actually he provides a lot of the like legitimate humor that's actually sort of funny.
Deadpanning it the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's like the opposite of him playing Lurch, where he didn't say a damn word, and here he actually talks quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty vocal. And his whole gimmick is that he's got the ability to foresee death, so do they do much with that in the movie? Not really. But
no, it's like people there's like a comic reaction whenever he shows up and people just go like, get me out of here.
Pretty much no one wants to be around him because he's always telling people when they're going to die. Ty-Lord says that he liked Andrew Divoff as a Die Hard-esque villain in Blast. I've not seen that film.
I've not seen that yet.
Definitely check
See, I
it out.
brought up Toy Soldiers earlier, that he played the main villain in Toy Soldiers.
Yeah.
Oh God, Queen Sindel.
I think all of us regret Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a regrettable chapter in most of our lives, but I still do like the movie on some level, just for kind of how shit it is.
The soundtrack's kind of cool, and some of the fights are okay.
Yeah,
but...
talk about some questionable native stuff too. The whole
oh God, don't even. I mean, like, I get that they're trying to make him like the character in the game, but can we like not?
Yeah,
do that. I mean, like having him talk like he's from the streets was kind of like, what?
Yeah, it's an odd choice for sure. I don't know. I think though, all of these movies from the 80s and 90s that do questionable native stuff, none of them will ever touch Fish Hawk, giving them like the Native American power ups and fucking Poltergeist 2. That is regrettable. You watch that with today's eyes.
Take this like, magic spear.
We're gonna come into my sweat hut. I will power you up with the spirits of my ancestors. What the fuck is going on here? So that kind of does it for characters, really. I mean, I think it goes without saying that Lash is pretty high up on the list for both of us. So as far as favorite characters go, but
she ended up becoming the marketing for the second one.
Yeah, it's right in the title. So. I guess, and then to say Red Eye's a favorite is kind of a given as well. But do you have a favorite character outside of those two?
Outside of him or Lash? Yeah. Probably Bar or Estelle Bar. Just because I like Meg Foster. Like, I've always thought that she was kind of hot ever since I saw Masters of the Universe. So I kind of have a thing for her. So seeing her like playing, I guess, an action hero, was kind of different because I never really see her running around and shooting guns or anything like that. Even like in They Live, she just kind of stands there and pops a gun off once, but that's about it.
Yeah, she really gets to throw down in this movie.
But I think it's just the fact that she looked like she was just having like a really good time in the movie kind of like translates really well, and it just kind of makes me like it even more.
Exactly. I mean, this both films seem like an absolute blast to have worked on, and I think maybe that could come from the fact that it was during like a peak time in Full Moon's production output when they were doing really good money wise, so there wasn't any stress of that, and they were on like this extended shoot for 2 movies in a row, so it probably had like a rad summer camp vibe.
Yeah, and everyone kind of got a free trip to Romania.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's, back then Full Moon could afford to fly a bunch of people out to something like that and do that.
Not just shoot it in Charles Band's backyard nowadays.
Yeah. Well, he bought that house in Ohio now, so I'm sure they'll get a lot of mileage. Oh
God, that's going to get 37 movies made in the basement.
Yeah, I think he already had like 8 planned for it as soon as he bought it. So
man. Like just throw some green screens around and
yeah.
It'll be like, what was that Puppet Master movie? Puppet Master Axis of Evil, where it was like you could tell the entire movie was shot in one building because the brickwork is the same in every shot.
Yeah, I think that is Axis of Evil.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched those like last.
It's just kind of funny, like the brickwork in every shot, every different set is like exactly the same. It's just like, all right, dude, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's you got to do what you got to do. But back in these days, I'm sure it felt like first class, B movie making. Like they definitely weren't serving cheese sandwiches at craft service.
And they were outside the Hollywood system too, so it wasn't like they had people like breathing down their necks talking about budget and whatever. And oh no, this is going to be marketable kind of shit.
Exactly.
We do what we do.
Having fun, doing whatever the fuck they wanted out in Romania and producing some super fun results with it. So, we kind of touched on the plot of it a little bit, but basically Zach ends up coming back to town to see what's going on. And Red Eye has, clamped down on him pretty hard. He's basically just doing whatever he wants. I think what finally kicks Zach off to like actually, really throw in and try to do away with Red Eye is when they capture Buteo after he has a badass arm wrestling match, possibly the best one ever filmed.
That's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah, that
puppet was rad.
It is. It really, really is.
I just love the way it's going like
Yeah, which one? It looks tasty.
Just the way its eyes just keep rolling back and forth. It just looked funny to me.
Yeah, it's great, dude. And it's just such a fun, like, I love how they have it just on hand too. Like, this is a thing that just
yeah, it's like I brought this to the bar because why not?
Yeah, we just keep one in the back, but
this poisonous slug thing, it's poisonous frog.
And that's pretty much done in retaliation for that. Like, this is the dude that essentially killed his family. You know, he was the main ringleader of this group of minions that came out and staked him out for the Night's Corps and killed his wife and his son, I think it is. Or
I think so, yeah.
So he's pretty pissed and he wants his revenge. And he ends up winning, the match, I guess. The thing does bite the dude. And then
with the pain in the neck.
Yeah. And then it gets blown away, which is sad because it was kind of cute, The Monding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
Jester Mikey's got it right there. That's it is like a frog crab creature, I'd keep one for a pet if they weren't.
I just love its expressions. Its expressions were making me laugh.
It's great. They should have put out a figure for it back in the day.
I would totally put that on one of my shelves. I would totally do it.
I don't know how this movie didn't get any figures. I mean, Red Eye would have been a fun figure. Same thing with Flash. You could you could have sold some Night Scorps. I'd have bought those too. Do you think Zack's superpower is kind of lame, although it does play good into the story? Yeah, it's not exactly the best ability to have. I mean, what times is that really going to benefit you other than sensing that something bad is happening to someone?
Yeah, and the fact that he has to like act out what he's feeling is kind of like like at the end when Red Eye's getting his and he's doing that whole like I'm jerking back and forth thing because I'm feeling everything. Like, just be like Dr. Deanna Troy and just go, oh.
Yeah. Do you ever see that clip where they're like having her fart all the time or whatever? No. I love it. You should just look up Deanna Troy farts on YouTube and you guys will enjoy it. Jester Mikey's onto something there. I would definitely buy a replica of that Monding. And if they wanted to do a scaled down one of the Night Scorps that you could actually do little stop motion with, that would be fun.
That'd be cool.
But it's never going to happen because for some reason, I think the Oblivion movies are a great example of like those full moon movies that you think that the casual people that aren't necessarily full moon fans should know about, kind of like they do Puppet Master or Demonic Toys or Trancers, Subspecies. Like those are all movies that, even people that aren't specifically fans of the studio have seen one or two of them, but this one, I think because of when it came out or whatever, it's just not one that a lot of people have seen. The only people that are really fans of this are people that are specifically fans of Full Moon. And that's a shame because I think a lot of people would enjoy it.
Yeah, it's like looking back at it now, it feels kind of like they're trying to make a crossover type movie to like appeal to fans who appeal to people who weren't Full Moon fans kind of thing because it's PG-13 to start.
Right.
And it's kind of a strange type of genre bender for Full Moon at least. So it's like they were trying to bring in new people, but it just didn't seem to work.
Yeah, didn't really work out. Certainly impressed us that like already left Full Moon though, Red Eye would be a cool guy to somehow bring into the Revengers at some point.
Trying to figure out how to do it would be a real thing.
More people should know about Arcade also. Yeah, I tend to agree, but I'm a bit biased when it comes to that because it's got young Seth Green, it's got Megan Ward, Pete Billingsley or whatever his name is, old Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Effects are pretty bad. That's part of its charm. Low rent Tron definitely, but yeah, I'm there for it. Some of the better poster art too, I think, in Full Moon's catalog, in my opinion. I really need
also
to get
one of those movies that I was like, can we just get this fucking movie out already?
Oh, right, because
waiting like 2 years or whatever.
Yeah. The old House of Mouse fucking set that bitch back a little bit.
Yeah. I just remember like, is it out yet? I remember I'd go to the video store like every other week. Is it out yet? No. Is it out yet?
What did you think of it when you finally saw it? Were you still stoked on it, or were you like,
no, not really?
Oh man,
it's one of those Albert Pune movies where you're just kind of like, wow, did he have like a budget of like $350?
Like $3.50?
Yeah, because like you look at that of the arcade, like the exterior of the arcade, and it's like, yep, that's exactly what he had.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I really love Q in that movie though, for some reason. As
yeah,
like the sleazy arcade salesman.
It's a cool idea. I just don't think they actually had the budget to pull it off as well as they could have.
Right, which is strange because it was.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have just thrown some more money at it. I think an arcade would be a lot better than it turned out. Yeah, Tyler. From what I understand, and Jester Mikey can maybe confirm this for sure, but what I've always read is that basically Disney found out that they were essentially making Tron almost.
Yeah, they saw the trailer and the light cycles were kind of in it.
Yeah, and they were like, you got to change that. And so they're like, I guess we'll have Ralphie from A Christmas Story supervise it or something. And so he just went
Now he's a producer because of it.
Yeah, so he just barely changed it a little bit. And then I think Disney saw it again and they're like, actually, we don't give a shit about this. Yeah, so they just
like, nobody's going to see this.
Yeah. I feel like we're dragging Arcade. I do enjoy the movie, but it's just, because of its faults, a lot of it, I think, and I really like the sort of like angsty 90s alt rock soundtrack they put on there.
That song they play over the end credits, it's like,
oh man, I love
for
it.
your soul.
I think I used it. I think I looped it and used it in my review where it's just playing in the background. It's like some straight up flannel shit. Do they have a flannel I don't know if they have a fucking soundtrack disc out for Arcade, but if they do, I would like to get it at some point. The girl from Trancers is a good lead in an Elm Street type movie like that. Yeah. If you're referring to Megan Ward, she is great. If you want to see another really good movie with her, you should check out Crash and Burn. That's
If you want to see her naked, watch TikTok.
Yeah. There you go. I didn't know about that, but I'm
she was also in, what was that Amityville movie? It's About Time, I think it was called.
I've not fucked with any of the Amityvilles outside of the first three, but I think
it's like the fourth or fifth one. It's called Amityville. It's About Time. And she plays like the main character's daughter in it, and she's okay in that one. The movie's not that great, but
I think with Megan Ward, she's a good example of like, because she's not a great actress, but she's just so adorable, dude.
Yeah, she's cute as a button, man.
I guess it's sort of like
Encino Man.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's kind of like a Danielle Harris thing, like I've had a crush on her for a long, long time. So I'll just watch anything that she's in just because she's in it,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be good.
Yeah.
A lot of them aren't,
No.
So back to Oblivion. That was a fun little diversion into Arcade there for a minute, though. And Megan Ward, she's great. Check her out. So basically, after this whole event where Buteo challenges the henchman to the arm wrestling match and ends up winning, they capture him anyways because they're outlaws. They don't necessarily play fair, and they put him in some stocks, as you saw in the trailer there, and
give him 20 lashes.
Yeah, and it gets mad uncomfortable for a minute. But Zach basically realizes that shit's going down, so he comes to Buteo's rescue, ends up blowing off one of Red Eye's arms, leading to one of the coolest effects sequences in the movie, where he has to regrow his arm.
I had forgotten about that.
So gnarly, dude. So fucking gnarly. And I'm sure all it is they put one of those things that you like use to pick up stuff from underneath your car when you drop like tools.
Yeah, that little...
Yeah, like your dad always had one back in the day, and it'd be sitting there so you could like curse.
Or it's like one of the rooters, that rooter that you use in the toilet or your septic tank kind of thing. Yeah,
the snake or whatever.
Yeah, with the little pin thing at the end. Yeah,
it's a cool way to repurpose it, and it works to good effect. In my mind,
it could have been worse. It could have been a ceiling fan.
True. Yeah, that would have been funny if a ceiling fan just came out and opened its blades and started spinning. That would have been fucking rad. As a kid, that always put in my mind that like that's kind of how a lizard regrows its tail, because you always hear about those like skinks and shit that can drop their tails and regrow them. I'm sure it's not as dramatic as that when a lizard does it, but I like to imagine that it is because it's gross.
That's the way I always looked at it. Was like, oh, he's a lizard dude, so he's just regrowing a limb, So
yeah, pretty much. And so basically, he's pretty pissed about this, and he sets about kidnapping the local general store owner, who Zach has a crush on, and basically uses that to lure him out to their final confrontation. We didn't really touch on her, but she's not much of a character, I guess. Her whole thing in the movie is like, you're a coward, Zach, and then eventually she wants to jump his bones,
Yeah. She's like, can you feel what I'm feeling?
Yeah.
Kind of
she's
shit.
there for the super hot, like, lash stuff. but
Yeah.
other than that, she doesn't really have much involvement in the movie.
She's like we're always talking in the other streams that we did, where we're like, you know, the strong female characters in these movies and all that, and then there's the opposite right there.
Yeah, this is a prime, and to be fair, a rare example of Full
Yeah.
Moon having a straight up damsel in distress in the movie. Usually, female characters in Full Moon movies in general tend to be, you know, pretty strong, or, you know, at least self-sufficient or whatever. You know, they don't rely on no man, but this girl definitely needed.
Yeah, she's always in trouble somehow. People are always coming after her.
Cody, hey, what's up, buddy? Glad to see you on here. Me and Cody are going to be doing a discussion for Tourist Trap here in the near future, so look forward to that.
Still need to watch it.
That's so good. You're gonna fucking love it, bro. So that basically sets up the final confrontation of the film. You know, they've got her out in the desert. It's proper theatrical, you know, everything you'd expect from somebody like Red Eye. And I think they're basically going to feed her to the Night Scorps or just whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It ends up not working out. Red Eye gets peeled apart by the Night Scorps. And
Watching that scene, I was like, this is PG-13?
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly, dude. Some great stop motion there. I think if we were to rate this in David Allen's stop motion, it's pretty top tier. You know, it's better than the stop motion in Dr. Mordred for sure.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say that too. I was like, it's better than the woolly mammoth.
Yeah, it's
I want to say, like, as much as I don't like Robot Wars all that much, I do really like the stop motion in that.
It's solid, yeah. It's the movie itself is kind of but the stop motion makes it worth it. Actually, I kind of like the way that it's sort of one of those like cigar chomping Western style movies, because you know it was his dad that like basically directed it. So it's very much got like that old school gung ho Western vibe to it, but set in a sci-fi. It doesn't necessarily work, you know? No. But I like that they tried it.
I just think it was like the only person I like in that movie is Barbara Crampton. I just think that movie was cast so badly.
Yeah, she is pretty great in it, though.
What was it? I kill you.
Yeah.
No.
Peekaboo.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, God.
It's
like you were in the Karate Kid, too, dude. You had a career.
Yeah. That other dude that was in the Karate Kid had to be there to watch this shit go down.
Yeah,
too,
like,
you know? So it's like he drugged somebody else from Karate Kid in with him. But, you know, this movie arguably, well, not arguably, straight up works better as far as like the genre bending, because they went fully into it, you know. In Robot Wars, it's just this little layer of Westernness that exists in the movie's DNA.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, you know, this ends pretty much as a setup to the next movie. I think it even has like a to be continued thing.
Yeah, it literally just ends. It says to be continued.
Yeah. Rent the next tape.
Yeah,
you know, that's
coming next year.
When was Backlash released? Actually,
I think it was released like a year. I think it was like a year later. Because I remember that one took a long time to come to the stores, if I remember correctly.
I was blessed. Yeah, it was 2 years later, bro.
Yeah, I remember it took a while.
I mean, they shot them at the same time, so that's a little bizarre that they would.
Did it happen after the Paramount thing fell apart?
Yeah, it was released.
That's probably why it was one of those movies they were probably in post on when the money ran out. So yeah, probably had a heavy post production schedule, and they just ended up like having to like eke out little bits when they can get some money here and there because the Paramount money wasn't there anymore.
True. They might have even had to negotiate with Paramount a little bit to get it released too, because they might have still wanted a piece of it or something, and it's hard to say.
I remember there was a point where they were like, there used to be like 6 or 7 of them coming out every year, and then I remember just like it turned into a trickle at one point.
Well, they got they got cut off, you know.
Yeah.
The daddy cut them off from the trust fund, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was all just to do. It was to do with a lurking fear, something about the process of that. I forget. I used to know it because I mentioned it like in my review for it, but something that went on with that pissed off Paramount, and they were like, "Yeah, you know what? No, we're done with this." So there had to have been more building up to that. I don't think they would have made that many movies with Full Moon and distributed them and then just all of a sudden pulled the plug over.
It could have been like diminishing returns or something, like the movies weren't as popular as they were anymore and they wanted to cut the budget. And
they were like,
renegotiate the contract.
Yeah, and so it just fell through, and this one obviously suffered a bit from that because I think when I saw them, both of them were already out. So, you know, it was a little later into my full moon viewing for sure, but they became staples. I used to rent both of them together all the time, you know.
Well, it's like one movie split in half.
Yeah. And so I can imagine that must have been frustrating for you, man, waiting for it. But it was worth it. I like Backlash too, or Backlash.
As an impatient little kid, yeah, that was kind of a situation.
So if you had to choose a favorite scene from this film, what would it be?
For me, it'd probably be the arm wrestling scene, just because that puppet is so cool. And it's like, I don't know if they intended it to be kind of funny, but just like I said, the way that thing is just constantly like darting its eyes back and forth.
Yeah,
it cracks
I feel
me
like
up.
it has to be sort of intentional.
Yeah.
But
and then like you also get the close-ups of the actor's eyes going like, oh shit, is it smelling the fear? You know, kind of thing.
I think so. I think my favorite, I mean, it's got to be a tie. There's little things like Red Eye getting ripped apart by the Night Scorps or him regrowing his arm that I really like just as visuals. But I think one of my favorite scenes is that dorky bar fight that they get into.
Where Mateo's just constantly getting thrown up against the bar for some reason.
Yeah.
It happens like 3 times.
Choreograph it.
Somebody cold cocks him and he just spins and lands on the bar again. It was like, I remember I watched it this morning and I was like, how many times did he do that? I was like, are they reusing the footage?
They might have. Who knows? That's a heavy contender though for favorite scene, and then obviously, like, I don't know if one would count as a favorite scene. I really like Musetta Vander obviously harassing the general store lady because it's hot.
Yeah.
But
kept on saying delicious.
Yeah, I don't know if I could say that that's a favorite scene. I just really, really enjoy it. Yeah, I think the bar fight might be my favorite in terms of like kind of funny stuff. And then, yeah, I guess like the whole, you know, bit where Buteo's like getting whipped and then Zach comes and saves him is pretty dope as well. I really like that. One dude we didn't talk about is that guy, the Spanish dude that's like spinning around and
the other stereotypical stereotype character.
Yeah.
It's like just the matador thing, like spinning around all the time and shit and doing the
yeah, it's a strange stereotype to bring into space, but I guess why not, you know?
They probably had a spare like bullfighter outfit laying around somewhere and like, hey, let's just use this.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I feel like him being a Mexican and not a Spaniard would have made more sense for the. I think he might have been supposed to be a Mexican, but he reads more as Spanish, you know? But a Mexican would have fit the Western theme a little bit better, you know. You could have had Cheech Marin in there play him. That would have been fun.
Oh God.
You don't think so?
And he had as long as he had a joint hanging out of his mouth, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, dude, and then Tommy Chong could have played the Gaunt character or whatever. That would have been fun.
Come on, man.
Yeah, those would probably be my favorite scenes. In terms of, we've touched on the effects plenty. I mean, the effects from the stop motion to the practical effects are all pretty great in this movie. The prosthetics that Red Eye is wearing, you know, are convincing. It doesn't look like, you know, a zipper's going to be visible from the back or anything on it. It's a proper good makeup job. Moves real good with his mouth when he's doing his.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed was like the facial prosthetics that they put on for Red Eye. It like ends at the bottom of his chin because like his neck is just green paint.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, there's a couple of different reasons they might have done that. It could have been down to just money, ventilation, or money. You know,
time conservation, so you didn't have to put on more appliances.
That too, yeah. And you know, wherever they're at, I don't know Romania's geography, whether it was hot or cold, but it looks like they're in a pretty hot place over there.
Yeah,
so,
that would have just sucked. Like I know, my skin's not breathing kind of situation.
He would have sounded like he's underwater because he's just gargling his own fucking sweat in there the whole time or something. But yeah, all that's pretty good. One thing I did touch on in my review for it that I still stand by is I think that the soundtrack for this could be better, but it does work for what it is. It's just not one of Full Moon's better soundtracks, in my opinion. But
yeah, for the movie, it feels a little underwhelming, I guess.
Yeah, it could have been bigger and just felt more epic, but it's
like they had 3 people in the orchestra and that was it.
It reminds me of like music you'd hear in like fucking Fievel Goes West or something like that. You know, like it doesn't have the seriousness that I would like for it. But,
it is also very tongue in cheek sounding.
Pino Donaggio, again, he's no slouch. I think he might have done.
He was Brian De Palma's guy for the longest time.
Yeah, he's done quite a few movies, and for Full Moon, every soundtrack he's done might not be their most iconic, but they're serviceable. So this is serviceable. You know, that's I guess what I would label it as.
Yeah, it got the job done. It does sound westerny, but it should have had. I think it had a little bit more oomph to it. It would have been better.
Yeah, and if anything, it sounds maybe a little bit too westerny. They could have layered some more synthy stuff in there too to give it a bit more of a
Sci-fi.
spacey vibe to it. But you know, minor gripe, all things considered, for a film that's a whole hell of a lot of fun. You know, it's a great example of Full Moon's back when they were still just killing it, and they could take something like this that on paper might seem like kind of a silly idea, and in practice it's kind of a silly idea, but it's fun, you know. It doesn't matter if it's a silly idea. It works because you could tell they were having so much fun making it, and they put the proper amount of effort into it to make it feel like a pretty polished product at the end of the day, ceiling fans and all, you know. So.
Jesus. And bingo.
I'd say too, like you touched on something real solid when you said that it seemed like it was something that they were doing to try to pull in like a different sort of audience than their typical fans. Yeah. I would second that for sure. And I would actually say that this is probably a good entry level Full Moon movie if you just wanted to show like a friend, you know, a movie to give them a general idea of like the Full Moon feel. This is probably a good one, you know, because while they didn't do too many other movies that are like this, it's definitely feels like a Full Moon movie. So.
Yeah, it's like it definitely has that Full Moon feel where they do something that's completely ambitious without having the resources to properly do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's basically just a pure blind ambition with like a little bit of naivete in there that makes Charles Band charming. You know, he just goes for shit. It doesn't matter if they can properly pull it off or not. And more often than not, they do a good job of it because of that attitude, I think, of like, let's just go do it and have fun with it, you know. After this, they fell on dark times, you know. And we'll be covering some of that next month when we do The Dead Hate the Living with Brandon. But yeah. There's a reason that I picked this to kick off the actual series of Full Moon Madness when I started doing reviews, because it's near and dear to my heart and always will be. And hopefully we'll be able to get together and cover its sequel eventually.
Yeah.
Because it would be fun to follow it up. Should we wait 2 years? Or keep it on the same time?
I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. maybe we'll speed it up a little bit. Because that is going to be in one of my upcoming waves of reviews as well. But in terms of my stuff, you know, obviously we're doing this right now. So this is one of the things I had on the plate. We're going to be doing a crash and burn discussion with my buddy Ryan tomorrow, probably around the same time as we did this one today. I just recently did a review for Full Moon film #1 in the numbered list with Mansion of the Doomed. Good early Lance Henriksen appearance in there, if you guys are fans of that dude. Overall, just a fun, twisted little mad scientist movie from the 70s. I'd highly recommend you check out my review and then give the movie a look. You got anything you want to plug there, Chris?
Can't talk. Brain not functioning. Malfunction. Old ass retro gamer on YouTube. Do movie and video game content there. Also, old ass retro gamer on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you like listening to movie commentaries that are kind of MST3K style, we got the movie starting podcast. You can listen to that anywhere on the internet that has podcasts you can download. And also the Super Neighbor Brothers podcast on the Corpse Flood Gaming channel.
All great stuff too. We got to do another one of those commentaries one of these days. Those are always good fun.
Well, we just wrapped up the 5th season, so season 6 coming.
Yeah, baby. What's the most recent movie you guys did for that?
We did the series or the season 5 finale with the lead or the front man from an industrial band I like called Angel Spit.
Oh,
and he watched Death Race 2000 with us.
Nice. Fuck yeah. Death Race is a good time. I still got to check out those new Death Race movies. There's like the offshoot ones with that dude from the Transporter, and then there's like a proper sequel, I guess.
There's the remake that's just Death Race. That's one with Jason Statham. And then the other ones are like sequels or prequels to that.
Yeah. And then there's, what is that death race, like 35,000 or something
Yeah,
like
there's
that?
like a Death Race 3000 out there, I think.
Yeah, I've got it. I got it at Dollar Tree. I just haven't gotten around to actually watching it. But
Yeah, I really like the Jason Statham one. The Jason Statham one's pretty fun.
They look fun. Yeah, I feel like I saw my brother like watching them once, so I've seen little snippets of it, but I need to give them a
Got
proper
some
go.
weird one-liners in it that come from an Oscar winner of all people. in the remake. What was it, Joan Allen? It was like, throw down right here, we'll see who shits in the streets. Like, what?
Fuck yeah. I'm already sold on that shit. Oh, speaking
and
of
he got with a straight face.
Hell yeah. That's why there's the Oscars, you know. that's why he's got those accolades, probably. What the hell was the movie we just covered? Oh, Axe Grinder. If you guys are a fan of like David Sterling or anything like that, we're starting to work through those movies on the Schlockaholics podcast. It's a relatively new venture for me, so excuse me if I forget to plug it sometimes, boys. But we'll get in the habit of it. And our next film that we've got coming up for that is a pretty rare, like, tabletop gaming inspired indie film from back in the day called Games Master, What Have You Done? It was submitted by, Septum Sin from Septum Sin versus the World. He's one of my co-hosts over there, and I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Not Mazes and Monsters?
No, but I imagine we'll get to that one eventually. That one of Tom Hanks's better films.
Oh yeah, that was that whole Satanic Panic thing going on with the Dungeons and Dragons.
There's another film that Septum Sid showed me. I think it's called The Gamers, maybe.
There's a bunch of those.
Touches on them. Yeah.
Watch the second one. The second one's called Dorkness Rising.
Yes, I got to get on it, man.
That one is surprisingly good for like a no budget movie made by a bunch of like film students.
Yeah, I did find it at Dollar Tree, Tylord. I also found Hobo with a Shotgun in there, Puppet Master, Littlest Reich. I mean, you can get some good movies at Dollar Tree sometimes. You just gotta keep hitting them and checking them out. And don't believe the fucking employees if they tell you they don't sell movies. All of them sell movies. Somebody on like, one shift probably just put them up on top of one of the shelves or something. So just take a look around the store if they say they don't have any, because they're probably full of it. But yeah, got some good stuff in there, man. You can every now and again you can get like some shout select titles in there and stuff like that too.
Oh jeez.
So yeah. That's all I got to plug. That's all we got going on as far as the Full Moon's like edited reviews. We do have one for Island of the Fishmen that's going to be dropping at some point this weekend, as well as a couple reviews for some Grindhouse films from their Grindhouse collection. I did one for Mutant Hunt, and I did one for Necropolis, which I actually have right here. So if you guys want to check those out on Tubi or Full Moon Streaming, you can get yourself prepped for those reviews, and we'll see if our thoughts align. So hopefully you'll be back for the next stream there, Jester Mikey. It was nice having you up in here. You as well, Tylord. Always a treat. I've been Mosley. You've been a bunch of sexy beasts, and this has been yet another episode of that Full Moon Live. We're about halfway through our lineup for these, so plenty more on the horizon. And obviously next year we can start working through a lot of these movies that I'm covering this year. So I think Island of the Fishmen's one you'd probably really enjoy, Chris. You think
hey, Jason, get on that seat, people, bitch.
Yes. We got to set a date for that. He actually hit me up again the other day, so I'm gonna just nail one down and get that done with him as well. I think those are the only ones I have immediately scheduled is Dead Hate the Living, Tourist Trap, Crash and Burn, and then hopefully Seed People.
If you have any other ones that you got that haven't been taken yet, I'd be happy to do them.
I'll throw you the updated list over so you can see what's left on there. There's still some good
watched
stuff.
A whole bunch of them the other day.
Fuck yeah. Shrunken Heads is on there, I know for a fact. There's several really good ones that I'm surprised no one has claimed yet. But yeah, Shadow Zone.
I just watched that one, so.
See you later, Tylord. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Yeah, Shadow Zone's a fun one. That's not a lot of people talk about it, but they should. Because
I watched it for reasons.
Yeah, it's a solid one, man. I mean, I think it's right there with Crash and Burn of kind of being like one of those earlier Full Moon gems that surprising that more people don't praise them, So yeah, see you later, buddy. We're gonna get out of here too. I guess it's a good point to stop that.